Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There may be strong language and adult themes. So with me here tonight is the lovely Jenny Morgan.
Hi, kids. How's everyone today?
Unfortunately, it's too dark for us to be watching scenery with you.
It is?
I didn't think that your camera would really pick up the images that well at night.
Oh, well, no. I don't have any extra lights, so.
Yeah. Also, if you're sitting out in the park at midnight, I thought the cops might come and ask you what's going on.
Oh, well, there is that. There is that. Although I would like to try that from one of the bluffs and see if, we can get a overall nighttime view of the city.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And now we have Ox and Junie in the side chat.
Hi, Ox. Hi, Junie.
You're both welcome to come in and join us if you care to. Ox put out an especially good video yesterday. And I encourage everybody to go see that.
What was it about?
He does some very nice, musical video compositions. Actually, I'm looking back through my subscriber list to see if I can find it so I can throw a link out there. I know where I can find it. Just give me a minute. It's your turn to babble for a while to distract people.
Doesn't Ox get copyright strikes and stuff from YouTube if it's a musical thing, or are they creating their own music?
No, these are some original things.
Oh. Well, Ox, you should put a link in there for all your stuff, for your whole library that people can access.
I'll throw a link for the channel up. There we go.
Or maybe we could do a whole show on Ox. And
that could be interesting.
Promote the music and stuff.
Yeah, that's actually an idea. I never thought of doing shows to promote some of the people who are producing stuff for YouTube.
No, it seems to be what YouTube is for, is everybody who does YouTube stuff to wash the hands of the next guy who does YouTube stuff.
Okay, there's Ox is saying I'm not monetized. I get copyright emails for all my vids. And that's kind of, where I feel that I have no illusions about my channel ever being monetized. If they're not going to send me anything but warnings, I really wouldn't care. I'm just afraid that at some point they may close down my channel.
Mm.
Uh-oh. Looks like I sent the wrong link.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I had Oxus up there. And apparently did not copy it correctly. Now I gotta go and get it again. I'm not quite with it tonight, folks, so bear with me.
What is wrong with purple?
Okay, and there's Ox's YouTube link. Now, unfortunately,
put it in our chat too.
Yeah. When I get frustrated, I get stressed out. So I was having to deal with Amazon just before this, which got me very ticked off and not in a good place. That's right. I forgot that you can't see the YouTube chats. So, okay, there you can go watch Ox's video later. It's like 5 minutes. It's not a big one, but it's a very inspiring piece.
I want to do it right now.
And leave me here all alone.
Why can't we show it if it's all original music? Why can't we just share it and do it right here?
Yeah, why not? Let's see if I can do this one without getting in trouble for it.
Oh, well, wait a minute. According to this last posting of Ox, I get copyright emails for all my vids. Well, that means it's got copyrighted material on there.
Yeah, that's what I had just put up a minute ago.
Yeah, well, won't they take your channel away if you do that?
Well, that's why I'm worried about whether they would settle for just throwing me messages on it or whether they would take more action since I've already had a couple of copyright notices.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm afraid I gotta play it safe here. It is something I've wondered about because, I know there are like music channels that just do cover songs all the time. So it's like, they must get the notices on every one of their videos, but some of them have been going for years.
Yeah, like who's the people who are putting up all these music videos, or lyric videos that obviously have the song playing in the background.
Yeah, or people doing karaoke. That's Sloth Girl wanted to do a karaoke channel, but we were wondering about all that stuff about, would YouTube let it go if she's singing to recorded music, or are they going to shut that down? Because she's got a really nice singing voice. She was kind of a local celebrity up in Michigan.
I can't sing, so I won't be doing any karaoke or however it is pronounced.
Yeah, it's okay. Ox is saying if you're not monetized, they will give any AdSense to the copyright holder. Sometimes the video gets blocked, but I haven't gotten a strike for that yet. But see, I've had a couple of things that somebody shared something in my stream and somebody claimed a copyright on the image, and they blocked the video and nobody could see it until I edited out that section. And it's been for really stupid shit because it's been for things that I've literally had to edit out 3 seconds of a 4-hour stream before they would let it go public.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, people have to go and watch it on their own then. But Ox still puts out some really nice stuff. It's really definitely well worth watching. So check out the channel. I don't think my channel is ever going to make any money.
Well, you never know. No, you do. It never will.
No, I'm sure the only way I'm ever going to really get any money off of this is from Patreon. So I appreciate the people who are sending money to that. And like I say, at least it's pretty much paying for itself. That I'm getting about enough on Patreon to cover the cost of StreamYards. I lost 2 of my Patreons, so it's going down a little bit, but I understand that I was Patreon to a lot of people before the move, and just because I had to cut back until I figured out my budget, I went down to only a couple of them, and with COVID and all, I still have to reevaluate my finances and see how many people I can afford to be sending money to.
Yeah, I get that. They probably left because you let me on the air.
Okay, Sloth Girl's starting with the jokes. What
no.
has 2 butts and kills people?
A 2-butted people killer? I have no idea what.
An assassin.
An assassin.
Yeah, if you spell out assassin, it's got the word ass in it twice.
Oh, it does. Yes, oh, yeah, I guess it does. Okay.
Hey, Stool.
Oh, no. Really?
I was hoping Stool was going to show up because it's World Kebab Day, and apparently kebabs in Britain mean something a bit different than what I thought they meant. So,
What do they
It
mean?
means penis.
Oh, jeez.
okay, is there anything in Britain that doesn't mean penis?
No. No, we invented that law in 1874. So literally every word you say means penis.
So that was after or during the building of the Great Shipping Canal, wasn't it?
I'm just going to nod and say yes.
I was wondering the relationship between the two.
Hey, there's an idea. You could build a shipping canal to separate Scotland from England, and then they can go ahead and rejoin the European Union like they wanted to.
That would be a pretty long shipping channel. Or canal, excuse me. How long is the one from whatever to Manchester Stool? How long is that thing?
Oh dear. No idea what you're talking about. If you're talking about the Manchester Shipping Canal, well,
Yeah,
that's verging into history territory, and we don't do education.
Oh, all right. Okay.
That's illegal.
Well, actually, at the risk of doing something educational, I was already Googling.
It's very long.
The Grand Union Canal is the longest canal in the UK, stretching 137 miles from London to Birmingham.
How long?
137 miles.
Birmingham. I'm talking about from Manchester to the coast near Liverpool. The first one.
The longest canal in Britain, built as a single waterway, is the Leeds-Liverpool Canal, stretching 127 miles. I don't see any mention of Manchester in this article.
Oh. Well, I must be on drugs then.
No, it wasn't quite what I was searching for.
We were very good at canals, to be honest.
Well, yeah, this Manchester Canal. The thing that made me remember it is that to get from point A to point B, they had to cross another canal, and so back in the Victorian age, they had to engineer a way to cross another canal or an aqueduct or whatever the fuck it is, and but not interfere with it, not share waterway or anything with it.
Yeah, we did some wonderful architectural feats.
Yep.
In the Victorian days, but unfortunately,
they built this amazing, bridge, basically for the other canal that rides above the Manchester Canal that actually rotates 90 degrees. I was just blown away at that thing. That it's 150 years old or something like that, and it still operates, and it's just this.
From Wikipedia, the Manchester Ship Canal is 36 miles long from Manchester to the Irish Sea. Construction began in 1887 and took 6 years and cost the equivalent of £165 billion in 2011.
That's kind of
we did some wonderful things, and back in the days when we were allowed to be racists and steal other countries' money.
Yeah, that's pretty much how the U.S. got to where we're at too.
Well, I don't know. The engineering is what really fascinates me. It's why I remember this kind of stuff. The Victorian age, I mean, invented all this shit that just never existed before, and just
Yeah,
did amazing thing.
it was a wonderful era for inventions and ingenuity. So many amazing things were invented, as you said, Jenny, that had never been ever dreamt about before. So that's really impressive, and I'm on your side with this. Ingenuity. I think that's the key word here, ingenuity.
And isn't that the same time that the Luddites became a thing? Because
I have no idea what that even
they
means.
protested the existence of the Industrial Revolution, modernizations, and machinery, and all this stuff, and
I've literally no idea what any of that means. I've
oh,
no idea.
well, they're a group of
Don't
people.
know.
I think the Luddite is actually named the last name of the guy who kind of founded the movement, or something like that. And they were these people who were, absolutely retrograde thinkers and didn't want to see anything modernized.
Oh, I get you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That reminds me because oh damn! Do you remember the railway conversation, Purple,
Bits of it.
about when we, not you, we invented the locomotive, and all these people call them Luddites. Oh, I get it now, Luddites. All the Luddites were saying, "Oh, you'll all die if you go on this."
Oh, yeah, when we were talking
locomotive.
about, how they were saying that the human body could not survive such speeds.
Yeah.
So were they right?
Well, after people got used to the railroads, then they got to, when cars started getting popular, they said the human body could never survive going over 60 miles an hour.
To be honest, we're still waiting for the answer because have you ever been on a train in the UK?
No, I haven't. Have you?
Oh, this shit.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you have. Maybe you haven't. Why would I know that? Have you ever been on the subway in London?
Yes. Well, yes, I have. Yeah, but that's actually quite sexy. Have you?
No. I've never been to the UK. They wouldn't let me in.
Yeah, I've never had a chance to cross the ocean.
To be honest, they would not let you in, but that's kind of par for the course these days because COVID and we're not allowed out and oh fuck. Yeah. But I think you would find the London Underground very fascinating, Jenny. It's got a wonderful history.
Does it run on time?
I believe so. I mean, I can't remember. I don't tend to go to London very often. It's a long way away. But there is something quite, I don't know, what's the word? Nice about it. You get a nice feeling when you do it.
Sloth Girl is on another quest for sherbet lollies.
What are sherbet lollies?
I thought the proper ones were like ice cream, actually. In which case they won't ship well. But
I mean, it's
okay, Stool, what about you? What's a proper lolly over there?
A lolly would be a cold thing, something that's frozen.
That's what I thought.
I believe you people would call it a popsicle.
okay.
An ice lolly.
Yeah, that's what I thought, that it was a frozen treat. So it's not really something you could mail.
No, don't do that.
Well, if you had a sealed bag, it's just you'd have to drink it when you get it, not chew on it. Unless you freeze the bag, I guess, and then you could like have this misshapen lolly in a bag and chew on that.
Sorry, I was trying to edit the description and wasn't watching the side chat for a bit. So, Jeff is talking about Brunel.
This is true.
Well, why don't you get in here and tell us something yourself?
Yeah, come on in, Jeff.
Come on, Jeff.
I haven't been on a show with you in a long time.
I would be very scared about this because Jeff is actually outside.
Okay, and the founder of the Luddites, Ned Ludd, was pretty much a myth. There's no evidence he ever existed. Well, that's interesting. Okay, and Sloth Girl's saying that if the lollies are the frozen ones, what are the two colored lollipops that are kind of fizzy?
These are such bizarre questions. That would be a fizzy lollipop.
Would it be a fizzy pop then?
Well, apparently, she's heard that they're different from the ones we get here, so she needs somebody to send her some from the UK. I expect she gets most of these ideas by watching too many BBC programs.
I like BBC programs.
Well, she does too.
I just started watching another new one. I don't know how long it runs for, but it's called Cobra. You ever hear that, Stu?
Wasn't that the sequel to G.I. Joe?
No.
Never heard of it.
It's about the Earth takes a hit from the sun, a big EMP, and knocks UK for a loop and knocks power at all the major cities, and it's about the difficulty of dealing with that, and for the first week and first month and all this stuff, and getting how the people are reacting and riots and civil unrest, the politics behind it, all that kind of intrigue, as it were.
Yeah, I can definitely see that being a terrorist attack that we'll probably have to deal with at some point, about them finding a way to create a big enough EMF pulse that it would pretty much scramble everything in a city for quite a while.
Yeah. This apparently in this timeline or movie, I've seen 2 episodes now. There were 4 major transformers that were fried, and these things are like big as a house, type transformers, and there was only 3 of them available, and so much of the country was able to repower within a week or so. But then a large section of it is not repowered because they have to build a new transformer, and that takes a while. So there's just all sorts of mayhem going on.
There was a wonderful little
and
series.
fucking each other in the background.
Always some of that going on.
A wonderful little series from the 80s that was about you remember how we were all scared of nuclear war back then, and there was a wonderful it wasn't a series, it was just a one-off thing. Jeff will remember if he's still here. I forget its name, and it was about a nuclear weapon had been detonated 1 mile above London, but it was filmed in such a way that it was almost like a documentary. And it was for those years, early 80s, I guess it was quite gruesome, and it got so many complaints because of how pretend realistic it was.
Well, they should show it again. People can tolerate a lot more these days.
It doesn't age very well, but it kind of gives you the gist of what happens when our faces melt off and what have you.
Another British film I'll never forget. I saw it in the 70s. I'm really not sure when it was made. It was black and white, and the title of it was The Bed Sitting Room. And the premise is that nuclear explosion, war, whatever it was, destroys everything except this bed sitting room, and the furniture begins a conversation between itself. You know, the bed talking to the chair, talking to the drapes, you know, all that kind of British weirdness. It was quite entertaining. It was kind of a grit your teeth comedy, you know. I would watch it again if it came on.
Somehow it immediately sounds to me like the type of thing Rowan Atkinson would have staged, with the furniture talking to each other.
Oh, I think this was before he was born. The film gave me the feeling that it was made in the 60s sometime. Maybe mid to late 60s. There was a lot of anti-nuke sentiment in those days. Everybody was scared to fucking death. I wonder why people aren't as afraid of nukes today than they were.
I was just going to say this.
I think mostly people just don't think about them much anymore.
It's not really something that's thought about anymore.
But nothing's changed. I mean, we still have tens of thousands of warheads that can go off.
Well, and especially that it's not just the major powers that have them now. That there's a lot of smaller countries that have them, which, you know, you either have the potential of an actual country's leader who's not entirely stable, like if somebody sets off North Korea, but also with these smaller countries, it seems there's a much higher potential for terrorists to get a hold of one.
But the big thing in those days was the nuclear arms race, as they called it. And as you'll remember, it was all about who had the most nuclear missiles.
Yeah.
And it was all about US versus USSR.
Well, and that's why
everybody was everybody was scared who was going to win or who was going to do something silly first. That's not a thing that
Go ahead.
Sorry, that's not a thing that the youngsters, if you don't mind me saying that, are aware of these days, because it was scary.
Yeah. Well, I think we're a lot less likely to have an all-out nuclear war, but I think there's at least as great a chance of just one nuke going off and leveling a city.
I think if an accidental war or even intentional war is going to happen, it's going to be between Pakistan and India. They've gotten so close in their saber rattling before, and they're always at conflict over their borders.
Well, and you know, what about the whole situation around Israel? I could easily see somebody in that conflict going off half-cocked and letting one loose.
I don't know. It probably sounds really bad to say. I think there's a higher mutual self-destruction awareness in the Middle East than there is in India and Pakistan. And I can't point to anything about that. It's just the feeling I get from the nature of the arguments and things I hear.
Yeah. Well, I think you are right in respect that I think that most of the stuff around Israel has to do with everybody wants to own Jerusalem. So I don't think anyone's willing to destroy it because they want to possess it.
It's not just Jerusalem. It is, Israel. Israel has been very expansive since its creation.
Yeah, it has, much to the detriment of
Yeah.
world peace and to the Palestinians.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's like the thing is, there's never any consequences for Israel or anything whenever they break a UN resolution or anything. So, of course, they're going to keep trying their luck. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's never any consequences for them for doing it.
Well, and that's on a smaller scale. What we saw with Trump was that there were never any consequences for anything. So always trying to see if they can push it one step further.
By the way, Stall, I was going to say, I think you talked. I think that was Freds you were talking about that film.
Oh, that's the
Nuclear
one.
war film.
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
that is genuinely terrifying movie.
What was it called?
Freds. It's a bit like the American film The Day After. It's very similar to that, only Freds is a bit more intense actually than The Day After.
Okay.
It was
Really?
very intense for the day.
Yeah, I don't know how well it holds up now, but it was a scary, scary film in the 1980s.
Was that? I think I remember a film in America called Red that had Warren Beatty in it.
Oh yeah. That's about the Russian Revolution.
Yeah, a different film.
The different film. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he was saying
yeah.
threads, like in cloth fibers. Yeah. Threads is a 1984. I found it on Wikipedia. Threads is a 1984 British American apocalypse war drama.
Yeah.
Some of those, well, a lot of those films in the 60s and 70s and even into the 80s were just absolutely frightening. As still a young person in the 60s when they would have a you're all going to get nuked show, it was you'd have nightmares about it for days. We were all raised with these atomic drills.
Yeah.
Cover your ass under a desk, and then you learn.
I think
going to do nothing.
I'm pretty sure a lot more people joined the campaign for nuclear disarmament after that aired.
Yeah, all it do is make neat piles for cleaning up later.
Well, I think there were a lot of films like that, that were in especially the mid 80s that really pushed home the point that in a nuclear war, no matter what the scenario, nobody really won. That most people were going to be dead regardless of who started it or who had any advantage.
I think that that movie War Games.
Yeah.
With that kid, was that?
Broderick? Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
Matthew Broderick film. Yeah.
When he was a kid.
With the NORAD computer taking control.
I think that really affected the culture and got people thinking a little bit more deeply about it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's definitely one that, everybody who saw it still remembers it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do, and I saw it as an adult.
Yeah. Well, and that one was the one showing people that, well, I was an adult too. I was, about 20 when that came out. I forget what year it was. But, and that one was good at highlighting the point that it didn't even need to have people involved, that if we didn't pay more attention to what our technology was doing, and I'm not sure about the computer AI or that. Obviously, it hasn't advanced as fast as they thought it might. But there have still been some close calls by things as stupid as a mouse chewing on wiring. Hey, X.
Speaking of war games, I just barely watched that last week for the 20th time in my life.
I actually took a date to that movie at the time.
You don't want to know how old I was.
Yeah. It was sort of a date because it was a girl that I had known in high school. So we'd known each other for a lot of years and pretty much realized it wasn't really going anywhere, but was still fun to be together.
There's a lot of good cast in that movie too. But yeah, it's a terrifying fucking film because computers. they're gonna kill us all.
Did you I'll see Dr. Strangelove.
Oh, love
Yeah.
Doctor Strange. One of Peter Sellers' best movies.
Yeah, it was. That's for sure.
Okay.
First time I saw it, I was pretty young, and I just didn't get it. I just didn't understand what's going on here.
Gentlemen, there's no fighting in the war room.
I've seen it subsequently, and I understand it now. But
well, especially the lengthy title. It's always been sold as Doctor Strangelove, but there's like that whole extended part where it's like, or how I learned to stop worrying and what is it? Learn to love the bomb or something like that.
Yeah,
it was like a really long.
like that.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that was one of Kubrick's earliest movies. Yeah, great film.
Yeah, and he was a master of lighting even then. It's like a well-lit film.
Well, I remember watching a bit of a documentary on that one, and the airplane that they were flying around, the B-52, that was going to be dropping the nuclear payload. They had to build the interior of that based on like guesses and from like some other people's saying what it looks like on the inside. And so when like certain nuclear pilots saw that movie, they're like, how did you guys get it that accurate? And it's like, Jesus, that's terrifying.
Dumb luck. Did anybody ever see the film Failsafe?
Got me on that one. Nope, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, that
I've
one.
heard of it.
That one will keep you on the edge of your seat. Glenn Ford plays a general. Oh God, who else is in that? Larry Hagman's in it. It's just a very good film. It's very tense. There's absolutely nothing happy about it. This does not end well. And
1964, is this the right one?
yeah, that would be.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just looking it up on IMDb because
I strongly recommend it if you're into a thriller that also has a social commentary or political commentary. Really, it's definitely worth seeing. Definitely worth seeing. Henry Fonda is the president, plays the president, and it's just worth the 2 hours to watch it. I'm warning you, it'll stay with you for a time. And it's pretty intense.
still holds up after all the years.
Oh yeah. I actually saw it a year or two ago, and it still kept me on the edge of my seat, even though I knew how it ended and stuff. Oof. I don't even like thinking about it now. It's kind of weird. What was that other? Apocalyptic film. Oh no! It wasn't a film. I stopped watching. It was a TV series. I stopped watching it because it started to get typical TV hokey. But the first 3, maybe 4 episodes were kind of scary, edgy. It was called the Day After.
Yep, I remember that
Yeah.
one when I was a kid.
I think I did the same thing. I watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes, and
That early scene in the film where people are standing and watching off in the distance this nuke go off and the mushroom cloud over a major city. That
Well,
was just really
yeah.
fucking spooky, very uncomfortable to watch.
That film I was talking about, myself and Still were talking about Fred. That was sort of a British version of The Day After, but I think Fred's is just a bit darker though. It's just a bit darker than The Day After.
Does the chat have any suggested films that we should all be watching from way back then?
Junie was saying War of the Worlds was the one that.
Yeah, that was freaky scary.
Well, I remember the 1960s version. I actually didn't see the new one.
That's your
that
typical
one.
Spielberg.
Yeah, that was not a good film.
Yeah, that's what I'd heard, and that was pretty much what I expected when I heard he was remaking it. And in general, remaking classics usually doesn't work.
Well, especially if it's Tom Cruise, because he turns him into a hero movie with him as the hero, of course.
Yeah.
And there was no heroes in War of the Worlds. But I saw it when I was fairly new, a couple of years old, out of the theaters in the 60s, and it was just plumb scary. The special effects were very state of the art for the time, and it was just nerve wracking especially for a young person. It was
well, I was watching it on TV, but that was when I was less than 10 years old, so it was still pretty scary for that.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest to some folks out there, if they want to see a interesting film that kind of flew under a lot of people's radar, but it was actually, I quite enjoyed it a bit. It had Gary Sinise in it, called Imposter. Came out in 2001. And it's based on the Philip Dick short story Imposter. So
Philip K. Dick is such a great writer.
Prolific, yeah. And so this movie just involves not too far off future war with aliens, but like the whole story is based on the aliens have technology to make their aliens like look, act, and seem like regular people, and those people don't have any idea that they are in fact themselves aliens or not until they get triggered. I'm really
tired of that as a vehicle in films. It's the aliens look like us. That's just, everybody uses it. It's just completely overused. Be more creative. Figure something else better out.
I'm working on it.
Okay, good. Anybody see the?
Well, that's why my novel just starts out with aliens that are disguising themselves as cats. Because they figured if they tried to look like humans, we'd catch on. But if they send little aliens that can look like cats, nobody notices cats acting strange.
And I can get behind that because I'm kind of convinced that cats are plotting against humans anyway. So,
how about the TV series The Invaders? Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
It was about a guy who takes the wrong turn and gets stuck somewhere in the desert, and he sees a flying saucer land, and the series proceeds there for him trying to get other people to believe that he saw this, including military and police and all this kind of junk. And
hey, Stool, welcome back.
And same thing, chasing aliens,
machine,
having to kill them, and how they would turn red and vaporize if they were killed, leaving a little pile of dust. It was again for the 60s, mid 60s. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I didn't
Well, it's one of the
consider
things
it filthy, but
it's one of the things I keep telling people about was that Star Wars, there are so many people now who grew up with Star Wars as already being this huge sensation. And it's like I was a teenager when the original trilogy came out in the 70s. And at the time, we were so dazzled by the special effects, we didn't realize that it had lousy writing. That it was a mediocre, hashed over story. It was just, we were dazzled by the special effects. And compared to what they can do now, it's nothing.
well, I still go back for space movies. I still go back to the Fantastic Planet.
Yep.
Film with Leslie Nielsen and what's her name, Anne Francis. And
Yeah, I actually wind up forgetting that was Leslie Nielsen in that because I'm so used to, seeing him doing comic things.
Yeah.
That just
True.
because he played a serious role in that, I keep forgetting that was him.
Yeah,
Surely you can't be serious.
I thought he was really attractive. So I followed him all through the 60s and stuff. And all he did was dramatic roles. And he was in lots of stuff. And for him to suddenly do comedy was like, what? And then he turns out to be so damn good at it.
He was a very fine accidental comic actor. And I bang on about this quite often, but I'm a huge fan of Airplane.
I love that movie.
Yep.
That is a movie that
classic.
It's a classic that will never ever it will never die. It's a beautiful movie.
I would think Sloth Girl would like Airplane a lot with all its puns and double entendres.
Oh yeah. No, she likes his stuff. I know we've both watched Airplane. I don't know if we've ever actually watched it together.
Oh, try it again then, Purple, because I'll tell you something. Many years ago, I was bored with my little one, with my kids, and I had them for the every second weekend thing. How do I entertain them? And I said, shall we watch a movie? And I thought, oh, they're not going to enjoy this. It's too old. They laughed their faces off at Airplane.
It's got a lot of great one-liners, even if you don't follow it.
It's hilarious. And the wonderful thing about that movie is you can go back and watch it. If you've not seen it before, you watch it the second time, you'll see things you didn't see. And when you go back for the third time, you'll look for the things that you saw the first and second time because you want to see them because they're still hilarious.
There are a number of
It's
jokes.
an awesome movie.
There's a number of jokes in it that you had to understand the culture and maybe certain public events that happened. But for the most part, really basic burlesque kind of idiot jokes and puns and stuff. But what I think makes it really hold together was the comic timing. It's
Exactly.
Like the first time you hear the line "Don't call me Shirley," it was timed so perfectly. It was just an absolute ripper of a joke, as dumb as it is.
Yeah, I think people forget now that that what it was spoofing was quite a sort of big sort of little genre in the sort of 70s, that of the disaster movies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and especially airplane disaster movies. There were so many. Yeah, that just in like the 5 years before that, there were like a dozen movies about airplanes crashing or disasters in an airport.
Yeah, there was a time in the 70s, I guess mid 70s, when airplane disaster movies were a big thing, and so Airplane the movie kind of cheekily and brilliantly, accidentally cashed in on this
and put an end to all of it.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it's kind of like after that, nobody could make an airplane movie and be taken seriously again.
Yeah.
Including Lost.
And you know, the wonderful thing about Airplane, as in the comedy movie, and I know damn well that you all know this, it's literally word for word a copy of a movie from the 40s. It's the same script.
What, Airplane?
Yeah, they literally just used the same script from a serious movie from, I think, the 40s.
Really?
Yeah. Google it.
That's when my drinking problem started.
I'd actually heard that before, that they had actually used the script from an old movie for it.
I had no idea.
It's a very true fact, and if you can be asked, you can Google this and look at the old original movie that they basically stole the script from, and the scenes are identical.
Well, the Zucker brothers grew up in Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin, and that's one of these white and rich suburbs of Milwaukee. And I could see them wanting to be so lazy as to just do a parody of something that already exists like that. That's par for the neighborhood. I grew up in the next suburb north of them, which was even richer. So
I was talking about this the other night to some weirdos like you people, and I was saying that Airplane and Blazing Saddles are classics.
Okay, yeah.
The comedy was, I don't think we'll ever see comedy like that ever again.
According to slashfilm.com, borrowed from the 1957 thriller 0 Hour,
That's
for
the one,
serious
yeah.
devotees of the movie Airplane, the fact that Zuckerberg, Abraham's, two Zuckerbergs, were heavily inspired by the 1957 movie is no secret.
It is. It's quite interesting. Well, it's not because I'm a nerd, but if you ever, there are things out there on the YouTubes where they will show you side by side Airplane versus that 1950s movie, and it's literally a blatant copy. But Airplane, the movie from 1979 or whatever it was, is loaded with comedy. Same script basically, but funny.
you mentioned Blazing Saddles, Mel Brooks films. Mel Brooks is an amazing contribution to American culture in film. I saw his. Well, I don't know if it was his first film. I think it was certainly one of his early films. A Mad, 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 Mad World.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I remember that one.
That was it was funny, but I think mostly it was funny to me because I was a kid and it was just kind of silly and all this stuff. But I think Mel Brooks's best film was Young Frankenstein. It was so well made to me that it was right on the edge of being a legitimate, serious movie, but still was this rip roaring parody that was just brilliant. And it's picky done.
Mel Brooks, is he still alive?
Yes, he is.
Yep.
Yeah, he must be getting on a bit now.
Like 95.
He's still as spry as he always was, though. He did some videos during COVID, which were really funny.
Yeah.
One joke I'll always like is the 15 Commandments one.
Yeah.
The Lord's
yeah.
enemy, these 15, 10 commandments.
10 Commandments. Yeah.
Brooks and Norman Lear are the only two left out of that comedy cabal of Hollywood back then. With Carl Reiner and I'm forgetting now. Some of the other comedy geniuses of the day.
Yes, and History of the World Part 1. We never did get a Part 2.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever intended. And let's see, what else did Mel Brooks do?
Oh,
Springtime for Hitler.
yes,
Oh, yeah,
I
that
was.
was in the
I was
producers. Yep.
totally not going to say that because every time I sing that song, I get baninated.
You know, I never have actually seen that one.
It's an amazing film.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
a
You
it's a
definitely got to see that one.
fuck of a classic.
And Kenneth Mars, who plays the lead guy who's in the play as Hitler, is
I'll
brilliant.
tell you something. The original movie of the producers is awesome, and
Yeah,
that
Zero
stands up.
Mostel is a hell of an actor. He
Mhm.
he did it, and him being paired up against Gene Wilder. Those two together are just a perfect.
Yeah.
Gene Wilder plays off people well, no matter who you put him with. You know, he can always play with. He's a good straight man for everybody else's like silly character.
Another fine Milwaukee boy.
A few years ago, the TV told me that the producers was going to be on, and so I watched it, and it turned out to be the new version. And you know what? I don't. Sometimes remakes can be shit, but it was equally as good.
Yeah, it's a pretty good flick.
Did Mel Brooks have anything to do with a funny thing happened on the way to the forum?
Oh, damn.
I just don't remember.
A musical with lyrics by Sondheim. Let's see. Music Sondheim, lyrics Sondheim. Book by Bert Shevlov and Larry Gelbart. Let's see. Where's the? It was a '66 film, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
This is
British
kind of
American
funny.
comedy.
I didn't expect them to, but I tried to search Netflix for a Springtime for Hitler. Netflix does not even want to acknowledge that Hitler is a word.
No.
Last time I watched it, it was on HBO Max. It was one of the classics that you could watch on there from Turner Classics, I think.
Your search history is going to get you arrested, perps. You've got to search for the producers.
The producers, and that was just the song within it. The song that they thought would bomb. What a stitch.
Oh, and yeah, they were pissed at the song, but then they get the Hitler where it's like, come on, baby, baby. What are you doing? You're tearing me up inside. And it just like everybody in the audience just went, oh, hey, wait a minute. I like the take that they're doing on this because they couldn't get a guy that acted worth the shit.
Yeah, that was Kenneth Mars.
Yep, fantastic. I like the guy that wrote the play, the dude that was the German guy that wrote the play. And he was nobody ever has a bad word to say about Winston Churchill, now do they?
As they should.
I think me and Still can oblige them on that one.
Yep.
So we could find a few critical things to say of our Winston.
I probably could, but you know what? I can't be asked.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to criticize Winston Churchill. Oh God, it's such a mixed bag of emotions. I want to revere him and honor him for all of him because of how well he did keeping the British people sane and being involved with the military effort in World War II and stuff. I want to not believe that he did all these other things, but he did.
Well, everybody's a mix, and yeah, it's especially difficult of someone who may have been a perfectly rational person when they are stuck facing an insane situation.
Well, and it's the same with Roosevelt. He for his entire tenure he was like this gigantic American hero, but he also put all the Japanese in internment camps. And
yeah,
how much worse can you get? But you don't want to.
it's a tricky one because I'm British. Did you guess? So we are legally obliged to worship Churchill just because we, and I'm using air quotes now, we won the war, which we didn't, obviously. You know, we had a little bit of help.
Yes, you did.
Well, you know, and on a very personal level, I run into that with my father, that while I don't think I can ever forgive a lot of things he did, I have to acknowledge that there was no malice there. He fucked up my life, but he always did what he thought was the correct thing at the time. And it's just because the generation he was raised in and being in World War II fucked him up so bad. So in a way, it wasn't his fault, but I still can't forgive some of that shit.
Yeah.
I think
the thing with Churchill is a lot of the worst things he did really came way before World War II. You know, a lot of the really bad stuff he did.
We wouldn't have beat the Daleks without him, though. That's the problem.
I was going to go there. I love that episode.
It's a good episode.
That's one of my favorites. I can't remember what they called the Daleks. What were they called? Damn it. Oh, Churchill had a different name for the Daleks. Damn it. I forget. But
even from Doctor Who?
Yeah, it was episode Victory of the Daleks it was in the 5th series, I think. Who was the doctor at the time? Oh, it was Matt Smith.
Yeah. I'm not going to sleep.
They called them Ironsides.
Ironsides, that was it. Yeah.
I'm so jealous of you guys who got Doctor Who on your local television. We've never had that in the Milwaukee market.
I didn't start watching until about 10 years ago myself.
Doctor Who ran for a few years on public television. I had never even heard of it for years before that it ran before I tuned in. It was Tom, what's his name?
Tom Kenny? No.
Tom Baker.
Yeah. Not SpongeBob shit.
Yeah, doctor at the time. And I had no idea of its history of, going way back 50 years and shit. But we just never got it here. And so it's just a complete gap. I don't know anything about it. A few year or so worth of shows that I watched.
I mean, the odd thing is that show started off as supposed to be a slightly educational show for children. That was the original premise behind Doctor Who. That was the original premise behind Doctor Who. That was very quickly changed from that format. The idea was that the TARDIS would just go back into different periods in history or whatever, okay. That was kind of what they originally were going to go with it.
We had a TV series that was kind of a rip-off of that premise, I guess. The Time Tunnel.
I remember that series. For some reason, they were rerunning that in the mid-90s on British TV.
It's rerunning right now with one of the repeats, ancient TV repeats channel. It's so bad. It's just so bad. You get cast randomly throughout time, and you always end up at this historical moment. It's amazing. That's why can't you land somewhere and be in the middle of a parking argument in the 1940s with a cop? It's.
This is kind of why I listed what's that show in the 90s, Quantum Leap? One was Scott Bakula, where he'd go through, and he'd always sort of leap into this he always would leap into a real weird situation, and he'd be like, "Oh boy,"
Well, one thing that I liked about Quantum Leap that was way different than Time Tunnel was that he would leap into these situations that were part of history that we recognize, but he wasn't necessarily thrown amongst the the central characters of historical central characters of those issues. You know, like
Yeah.
they did the show on
They did a few sort of shows like that, didn't they? Because they did the one where he leaped into the body of Lee Harvey Oswald, didn't they? So they did a sort of occasionally go there, and he leaped into the body of Elvis once as well, didn't he? So,
oh I
but
didn't
generally it was just, that he'd leap into like just you ordinary sort of person sort of thing, wasn't it? So
well, that's like when they covered the segregation issues down in the South in the 50s. He leaped into one of the body of one of the people who sat at the lunch counter and got the fuck beat out of him. Well, he didn't get leaped into Martin Luther King's or anything. It was just like one of the front row guys, and they built a whole story about that. And that I can respect a little more than how Time Tunnel was always hanging out with Lincoln and Washington and Tiberius from Rome or something like that.
Yeah, it's a problem I have with a lot of people with reincarnation. It's like everybody thinks they were someone famous.
Nope, your ass was a fly.
Yeah, you don't get the fact that 99.9% of the people were never heard of by anyone outside of their lifetime or even outside of the county they lived in.
I figure I was once a 1860s, 1870s saloon girl out west and got fucked by cowboys all day.
Yeah, the strongest one I ever had was a set of recurring dreams that convinced me I had been a sailor on a British carrier in World War II. But I wasn't anybody of rank. I was just one of the grunts refueling the planes.
Jenny, in which episode of Little House on the Prairie was that?
Okay.
I
live in the area where little Laura Ingalls actually grew up, right around where I'm living now.
I know. I actually know this, and I've got to hold my hand up. And I don't mind admitting this. I love Little House on the Prairie. I really do. It's so just. It's got that it's got that late 70s, early 80s vibe about it. I love it.
That's why I like the Waltons.
The Waltons is very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, the Waltons were kind of neat. That was like a grown-up Mayberry.
Well, for the people, who know anything about the Little House series, it actually was a series of books.
Yep.
And
Laura Ingalls Wilde, I think is what her name was.
Yeah. One of the books was Little House in the Big Woods. And just before I met my fiance, I was living right where that book was taking place. And just all the towns referenced in that book were like within a day's walk of where I was living.
Yeah, what people don't know, if all they've ever seen is the series, is that it all took place in this one place. No, this family moved around. They were in like half a dozen different communities in their lifetimes.
And one of my favorite bits of trivia from that even the people in Minnesota generally don't get is whenever they mention Pig's Eye, they're talking about St. Paul. The capital of Minnesota was once named Pig's Eye, and it wasn't until they built the cathedral there that the bishop said he couldn't bring himself to address a letter to the cathedral at Pig's Eye. So during the building of the cathedral, they got the name of the city changed.
Our Father of Pig's Eye.
Now Pig's Eye only refers to the sewage treatment plant.
I used to know one of the supervisors of St. Paul sewage. The water facility. I don't know what his full title was. Susan Kimberly.
There are certain American TV shows, or that kind of genre, if you like, Walton's Prairie, that I could sit and watch all day. And I'm not going to tell you the other ones because you'll think I'm an absolute prat. but I could literally watch them all day long because I just find them really cool.
I could sit here and watch MASH all day.
Oh, I could do that. Yeah.
Fantastic show.
I would have to make a little bit of a. They kind of messed it up.
Are we talking once Radar left, or are we talking?
Well, they messed it up because they kind of rejigged it and made it all in the old days high definition. Added color and added a laugh track to it.
Yep.
I actually,
I think that was when it went down for the hill, was when they put the laugh track into MASH.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that is. That just sort of took me out of it for some reason.
Yeah,
well,
we're
laugh
not.
track definitely pulls you out of the idea of being there with the characters.
That's one of the things that we struggle with, and I'm not speaking for you now, Jeff, because I'm not legally allowed to speak for all British people. But
You're going to anyway.
I know I'm going to.
Okay, Jeff is on the list of British people you're not allowed to speak for.
Yeah, he's number 3 on my list.
Yeah,
but the laugh tracks that you Americans do, that just really, I just, yeah, why? Just why? Why do it? It spoils everything.
Yeah, again, I think that's one of the reasons why I preferred the BBC sitcoms. Was having the laugh tracks in there. To me, it kind of says that we expect half of these jokes won't work if we don't tell people when they're supposed to laugh.
That's because a lot of them won't work if you don't tell them to laugh. Oh, fuck. Any of you watch My Three Sons?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was a junkie for that show.
Way back in the days when we only had 3 channels.
By the way, Jenny, sarcastic barman sends his regards, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Well,
I told you the other day I was going to his pub. You said to send my best, so he sends it back.
I didn't know that's where you were now. That's cool.
No, I'm not there now. I went there yesterday. I went up and saw Barman yesterday. His pub is lovely.
Have not seen Sarcastic Barman's channel, take the time to go watch it. He's really quite sarcastic, and he's a lot of fun. Very bright guy, and beautiful little bar that he has, or pub that he has.
Oh, it's gorgeous pub he's got. It really is. It's good old fashioned sort of like British country pub kind of thing. It's really nice.
Yeah, I actually had him on here one time because it was World Bartenders Day, so I had him come and do a guest spot for a bit.
He's got a real life pizza oven outside in the back, and he makes these. Yeah, he makes these pizzas, puts them in this thing, and they're cooked in like 5 minutes or less. He's got a
I got the tour of that yesterday. There's a picture of me somewhere on Twitter pouring myself a pint from this outside bar thing. So.
Yeah, I'd like to go get over there and visit him. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
When I win the lotto.
Okay, for anybody not familiar with him, I'll drop a link to his channel in the side chat there.
Oh, that's nice.
Hi, Kitty.
So who watched Lost in Space?
Oh.
The remake or the original?
The original.
The original was one of those things that was on every day when I came home from school.
Oh, the pain of it all. Sorry, I've got to do my best Dr. Smith I can do.
I hated that character. I saw the premiere. I was, a kid, and I was way anxious to see it. Space. It's a space show. It's a space show. And the pilot was completely different than all the rest of the episodes. It was actually kind of felt
Yeah.
sciency, and the effects were, as best my young eyes in the '60s could tell, were pretty good. And
Yeah.
and then from there on, it was just typical Irwin Allen,
Yeah.
foam-based monsters.
Yeah, I remember that because I had been like watching it for most of a year before it rolled around, and I got to see the pilot. And I was actually confused that that had anything to do with the show I'd been watching.
Yeah, it's that different. It really is.
Well, I said you see the early episodes as well. You see the character of Dr. Smith. He's just pure blooming evil. But as it goes on, he just becomes more comedy, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, that was the main thing, that in the pilot, he seemed competent about his scheme. And then they just made him just so inept and like, running away from everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he seemed more like a Daffy Duck character in the series.
Mm.
I ended up hating that show after the first few episodes. I just, this is terrible. I couldn't stand it. No special effects, and the ones that they had really looked like something out of kindergarten.
That's it, Kitty. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Although they had one of the coolest robots in
Mhm.
Hollywood, B9. Was a very
Literally danger.
I wanted to build a duplicate B9. There's a movement on the internet. Go ahead, look up Lost in Space B9, do it yourself, and you'll find tons of sites that deal with
Jenny,
your own.
in the olden days, did you not get the Thunderbirds?
Thunderbirds,
We
go.
did, and I did not like any of the puppet based shows. They annoyed the shit out of me. I just did not like them.
They're not puppets, Jenny. They're real little people.
Yeah, okay, right. I forgot
Yeah.
that.
I remember, this is a bit of a later one of the Jerry Anderson ones in the 80s, Terrorhawks. I remember that one.
Which one?
Terrorhawks.
Yeah, that was quite bad.
The only puppet I liked on TV was Gumby.
We had that was it Windsor Davis and it is Sergeant Major Zero. It was so ridiculous.
No, Doorknob, you can't do a mashup between TV and board games. I'm sorry.
Why not? They've been making movies out of board games.
Have they?
Yeah, Battleship.
Yeah.
Well, Clue was the
Battleship,
first one, but yeah,
Cluedo,
they made a
but
movie
yeah.
out of Battleship.
No.
And they're making a Rock'em Sock'em Robots one right now.
Yeah, Jenny, look it up on IMDb sometime. They did.
Yeah, Battleship. The Battleship film is like there's like an alien ship that lands in the sea, and then they end up right at the end of the film after every other boat's been sunk. They take the USS Missouri out of Pearl Harbor to meet the alien ship. It's really
Okay, I'll tell you,
quite crazy.
the Battleship movie was so bad that, of course, the Sci-Fi Network, anytime there was a hit sci-fi movie, they had to make their own version of it. So they made one. I forget exactly what they called it, but it was actually better than the one that was released to the theater. It actually made more coherent sense than the, multi-billion-dollar thing that they put out in theaters.
See, I want a streaming service where virtually every movie that has ever been made is available to watch. I would pay the $10-15 a month for signing up for that sort of service.
Well, and that's what Netflix had aspired to be and did a decent job of for a while. But then once other production companies realized how profitable this could be, each of them decided they wanted to have their own streaming service and either wouldn't license their stuff to anyone else or would charge such extreme fees for it nobody could afford it.
Yeah. We have this cable network that is on one of the digital 0.1, 0.2 stations here, and it's called Grit,
Greetings, fuckers, fuckettes, and fucks of other genders.
And all it is nothing but cowboy movies, and it is so annoying. Just
Yeah, there's basically one for every genre now.
How's
My
everybody's
fiance.
night?
Go ahead.
How's everybody's night going since I just got here?
It's a big hospital with patients in it, but that's not important right now.
it's going well. We're talking about old movies. We seem to be focusing on genre more than one individual movie. Everybody mentions the movie within a genre, but we seem to be bouncing around with genre more than individual titles.
Yeah, you're totally fucked on this one, Chinese, because you won't have a clue what we're talking about.
You'd be surprised.
Shots
you know
fired.
what? You know what, Stool? I'm fucked anyway. You know why I'm fucked? Because you're here.
Yeah.
Ooh.
By default, that ruins my day.
Okay.
God damn.
Shots fired.
Why
Bang,
do people
bang,
spend
bitch.
so much time trying to get laid and then use it as an insult to say they've been fucked?
Looks like I picked the wrong day to stop sniffing glue.
You know, if you were sniffing glue, that explains a lot.
See, we talked about Airplane, but nobody brought up Airplane 2, which I liked quite a bit as well.
They made an airplane too.
Oh, yeah. It was a space airplane movie where Sonny Bono was a terrorist.
I never actually saw Airplane, but I know it exists. So I get points for that.
He did end up being a Republican congressman, so the terrorism thing kind of counts.
But it had Bill Shatner as like the commander of the spaceport on the moon.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the title of this?
About all I remember about Airplane 2 was that it involves the space shuttle, but I think beyond that it kind of blended into the first one in my mind.
Yeah, it was a lot of the same kind of stupid David Zucker and whatever the brother's name jokes that you had. But I just remember there was a part at the very end where he's like, "Who's piloting that ship?" And he's like, "Stryker. Striker, Striker, Striker," and then he says it really loud, and so a guy punches the other lady in the room. Striker. Stupid sight gag, but it was hilarious.
What was that guy's name who was in the first one? Robert.
The guy from Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah.
God damn it! What is his name?
Robert
Stack.
Stack. I thought he played a character named Stryker in some film or TV show at one point. Just never mind.
Mm-hmm. Now the Zucker brothers did still do funny movies after that. I don't know if you guys saw Basketball, but I quite enjoyed that one.
I saw Basketball.
Yeah, that was the one with
South Park.
Yeah, they had Trey Parker and Matt Stone and their little cabal of people they usually do like shows with, but it was written by the Zucker brothers, so like it had that millions of jokes every minute and see if which ones actually hit you, and you come back and watch it later and you're like, damn it, I missed that one.
Did they have anything to do with Kentucky Fried Movie?
Yes.
Yep.
That was one of theirs also.
Yeah, it would have been way before Airplane.
Yep. I think that may have been their first movie.
See, I always get that one mixed up with Amazon Women on the Moon.
That sounds like a terrifying concept.
Oh, I love that movie.
I want to see it.
Rookie egg. We've all been there.
Isn't like one of the skits like the kid goes to buy a condom because he's going to go all the way with his girlfriend, and it's the family pharmacy that he's always gone into, and like he goes to buy a condom and the pharmacist is like really disappointed him until he finds out like he's like the millionth customer, and so he gets his face all over the news. It's hilarious.
Oh god, I always remember I still remember this. There was a hidden camera show in like the late 90s, early 2000s in Britain called Trigger Happy TV. one of the little jokes they would do is the millionth customer sketch, and they set themselves up outside like either a public toilet or a sex shop, and then some guy comes out of the sex shop and there's like the big bands coming out, so it's like, congratulations, you're our 1 millionth customer.
That sounds like a really old version of Punk'd.
That joke about condoms at the drugstore always used to be such a completely dependable I don't want to say skit, but joke to put on in a movie or TV show or whatever. Now it means
the word you're looking for is trope.
Sure, perfect. And now it means nothing because the condoms are hanging right in the middle of the aisle, right in the store. You don't have to ask anybody for them. You just buy them, and nobody looks funny at you. It's kind of interesting.
Actually, a lot of places still lock them up or keep them behind the counter just because people being embarrassed by them tend to, steal them a lot.
This is why I don't know if they do this in the US, but like in the UK, like in a lot of the so we say gents toilets and or whatever in the pubs, they put condom dispensing machines, like vending machines.
Yeah, you see those in some places, especially truck stops in the US.
Yeah. I was about to say truck stops for the lounge for the lot lizards that you have there.
What do they charge
I've never seen that, but I use the women's room, so.
How much do they get from per?
No, I don't know. I've never paid that much attention to him, except that in the song Coin Machines, he refers to losing 6 bits in one.
That's 75 cents.
Yeah, but that's a song like back from the 80s, so
inflation would have it.
Probably at least twice that now.
Fuck 50 now, huh?
Something like that, I guess.
Well, tampons are about a quarter in most places, so.
Yeah, now they got the machines that they, dispense a complete baby changing kit. And I'm like, where the fuck were these things when I was carrying kids around? They didn't even have changing rooms in the men's rooms then. You ever try to change a baby by balancing it on the edge of the sink?
Oh, that's a dangerous sport.
Changing a baby in general is a dangerous sport once they start to roll over, because then they do the ninja baby flip.
But what else could I do? I wasn't going to lay him on the floor. How gross and wet that is.
I used to hate changing my nephew. He would piss on me almost every fucking time.
That I never had the misfortune of with my nephew, and I'm shocked.
I guess that was the one advantage of always having girls. They didn't have that kind of range.
Yeah, that was one thing I was. But you know what? Everybody who's ever changed a diaper knows of this horror.
I was
mega blowout.
We were at Christmas a few years ago, and the dinner conversation got kind of raunchy. It was just immediate family, my brothers and my dad and stuff. And I finally I looked at Justin, my nephew, and I said, "So how big is your penis now?" Last time I saw it was like this big.
So I think it's safe to say that Jenny is that aunt at holiday meals.
We always knew that.
No, that's the way our family is. It's perfectly normal for our family. And so he just looks at me. He turns bright red instantly, and he says, "Well, it's about a foot now." I'm sure it isn't true.
There's actually a really bad joke that relates to that. Why are women so bad at parallel parking? Because they've been lied to their whole lives about what 8 inches is.
Yeah, well, I've heard that as why are women so bad at math? That they've been told this is 8 inches.
I actually am like horrible at math.
Yeah, me too.
At least I'm not as embarrassed about it as I used to be. Honestly, I use it as a major point in my never-ending stream of self-deprecating humor. I'll just be like, nope, that's it. Like, somebody will be talking to me and using mathematical terms. I'll be like, I'm going to stop you right there. You are making my brain hurt. Can we please use words and not numbers? But not word problems.
I got complimented on my parallel parking.
On your what?
On my parallel parking. It was like last week.
Ah.
Guys,
This whole concept.
guys, says, gee, you really do parallel parking good for a girl.
You know, it's funny. I'm from New Jersey. We don't do very much parallel parking. But now that I live in Philadelphia, I've kind of had to. I refuse to do it though. I will not do it the way I learned how in driving school. If there is not a spot where I can just pull in, I will drive around in circles for as long as I have to until I find either a regular old parking spot or one that I can just pull into without doing all the extra work.
What if you run out of gas first? That would happen in Chicago.
Well, I guess it's a good thing that if I'm ever in Chicago, I will not be the one behind the wheel.
I
refuse to drive in New York City. That is suicide.
Yep. I actually got my license one time just for being able to parallel park. Because when I was moving between states, it was actually the second time I moved to Minnesota after being gone a while. For some reason, they decided I had to take the road test again.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Full faith and credit clause. Full faith and credit clause is a thing. They shouldn't be able to do that because out of state, like I know in New Jersey, I don't know so much about Pennsylvania yet because this hasn't been relevant. I'm still legally a New Jersey resident. I just live here in all other senses.
Yeah. Well, in the late
I know
80s, when I moved back here from Illinois, I wound up having to take the test again. And
yeah, that's unheard of for my generation. I've never heard of that. You go to another state, your out-of-state driving license is proof enough.
I was surprised too, but I went, take it in the only vehicle I had, which was a 1-ton van with no back windows.
Oh, shit.
And the guy gets in and says, "You're taking it in this thing? You're brave." So when did the parallel parking? I parallel parked it in 3 moves, and he said, "Yeah, we're done here. If you can do that, I'm not going to bother with the rest of the test." So he just marked me off, and that was it.
I'm going to have to take my road test over again. I haven't gotten my Minnesota license yet.
You people are so backwards.
You haven't had a Minnesota license?
No. My Wisconsin was still valid, so I figured why bother.
Yeah.
I still have a New Jersey license. I never bothered changing my license over because all of my health insurance and all of my health care providers are in New Jersey. I'm still using my aunt's address on paper. So as far as anybody knows, I only work in Pennsylvania.
Breaking news. You all live in the same fucking country. Get your act together.
Yeah,
Stop with this different fucking rules for different states.
Well, that's the way it's regulated.
Well, as I said on Twitter this week, I said federalism was a bad idea.
Breaking news. I found the cutest video ever. Breaking news. I found the cutest video ever of a duck quacking, "Never Gonna Give You Up" by Rick Astley. I felt like saying that because, Stool has decided he hates ducks for no reason other than to be a pain in my ass.
So you say you say you got rickrolled by a duck.
It was the cutest thing I have ever seen in my life. I'm not even mad about it.
Well, I don't know what you mean, rickrolled by a duck.
Wait, have you not heard of rickrolling, Jenny?
Yeah, of course I have.
Okay, so basically, instead of it being Rick Astley singing, it's a duck quacking, but it was auto-tuned to be "Never Gonna Give You Up."
Ah, I see.
It was adorable.
Yeah, Jenny, if you have a valid Wisconsin license, you should only have to take a written test, which you can do online now.
I never even heard of having to redo any of the testing.
They told me I have to produce my birth certificate.
Yeah. They usually want that.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's a problem with some of us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I found out I got lucky with that one. Apparently for Illinois, it's not that hard to get the marker changed.
In New Jersey, you only have to show your birth certificate when you go for your permit, and I think when you go to get tested for your license, because we have this weird 6 points of ID. You have to, certain documents are worth a certain number of points. Shut the fuck up, Doc. I love you dearly, but shut up. That was terrible. Like a birth certificate is worth 4 points. I have to use my marriage certificate whenever there have been a couple times I lost my license. Not in terms of it being taken away from me, in terms of it being misplaced. Just to clarify.
Yeah.
And
when I moved to Michigan, we had a thing of that you needed to have 1 from column A and 2 from column B.
Like an I-9, basically?
Well, just as far as different, proofs of identity they would accept to prove your identity and your address.
Oh, it's ridiculous. There's list A, there's the 4-point documents. You have to have at least one of these. And then you can use 3-point documents. And then there's certain proof that there's 2 points or 1 point. And then there's proof of address, which is totally separate. You can't use certain proofs of address in conjunction with certain 1-point documents. It's so
yeah, I think Sloth Girl wound up needing like 6 different documents to be able to get her Wisconsin license or her Minnesota license transferred to Michigan.
When my license was misplaced, because when I divorced my ex-husband, I retained my married name. Mm-hmm. So when I've had to replace my license, I've had to bring my birth certificate and my marriage certificate to link the 2 names together. Now, that's understandable, but it's annoying.
Yeah, that's the one I can see I'm going to run into is after the new name change, that I had already, my first name is still the same as my birth certificate, but I did have my last name legally changed in like 97.
Yeah, so you got to have the court order with you. Is that how you did it? You went through a court order, or?
Yeah, I basically just had to have a hearing before a judge to, make sure I wasn't doing it for any nefarious purposes or trying to escape something.
I want to change my daughter's last name because I didn't know it at the time, but I gave her.
You didn't know your daughter's name?
Hardy Har. I didn't know that when I gave her the last name I gave her, it would also happen to be the same last name as most of the stupidest people in my family.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm embarrassed because, my daughter shares the same last name as a bunch of idiots. And the reason I gave her the name I did was because I didn't want her walking around with my father's last name or my ex-husband's last name. And her biological father, bailed. So
yeah,
I just I exercised my right to give my kid whatever the hell name I wanted, and I picked my maternal great-grandmother's, or my mom's maternal grandmother's maiden name. I picked that, and lo and behold, some of the biggest idiots in my family have that name. So now it's like, great. So my mom said no, she can't have that name anymore. So I think I'm going to change it to Josh's last name, only because she knows him as her dad.
Yeah, well, and that's the reason I wound up changing my last name was because I was having problems with doing things for my stepdaughter then, and her biological father, even though he at most would show up twice a year, refused to sign any of the paperwork for us to do anything like that. So I just changed my last name to match hers, so that way I could sign all of her forms for the school and the hospital, and they wouldn't ask any questions about it.
Honestly, that sucks that you even had to go that far. I mean, when my mom had to sign things for me, she didn't know she had to sign them because I knew how to forge her signature. I was a very bad teenager. And now she knows that I did that a few times with report cards because my grades were shit because I didn't care. And she's just like, well, you're a fucking idiot for that, but what am I going to do now? And now I'm probably going to get my karma when my daughter is older.
That's guaranteed.
Oh, yeah. Every parent puts that curse on their child. I hope you have a child that's just like you. Except my mom. My mom said, I hope you never have children. And so, of I ended up having one. And yeah,
that was the big advantage of only having stepkids. Is no matter how bad anything went, we could always agree to blame their father.
I don't think most people know this about me, but I actually do have a stepson, except his biological mother took him for a visit one day and never brought him back before my daughter was born. So we have not seen my stepson since 2017. And yeah, blaming the other bio parent is something with which I'm very much familiar.
Sorry about that.
It is what it is. I'm not going to say live on a stream what I'm going to do if I ever see her, because as it so happens, my place of employment is 5 minutes from her grandmother's house. Yeah. I didn't know that at the time I took the job, but then I found out and I'm like, oh, wonderful.
How about if we don't talk about family relations?
Yeah, maybe better to get a new subject. Somebody pull a new topic. Pass the hat around, somebody throw a new topic in.
Speaking of hats, I just realized I need to...
Here we go.
I used to have the most awesome Pageboy hat collection, and I think I need to rebuild it.
Yeah, I'm still working on picking a new name. And a big part of it for me is with such a large family, it's hard to pick one that isn't already associated with somebody.
See, now you're talking about family relations again here. Stop it.
Yeah, well, no, I just about names that. So that's why I examined some kind of, I didn't want to get anything like terribly exotic or anything that has, a specific ethnic tone or anything.
I wonder if there's a random name generator out there somewhere.
Well, and that's one of the things I was considering.
The power of the internet, I'm sure there is. Actually, you know what? There is. There are baby name generators out there for parents that can't pick a name for their kid. So
I'm just thinking, you don't get to choose when you're an infant. So maybe you should get to choose now and just see, have it generate 10 options and then you pick from amongst those.
Yeah, that's exactly what those do. You should do that, Purple. You should go to one of those baby name generator websites and look at all the possible options you have.
I didn't know that was a thing. So yeah, I'm pulling that up now.
Yeah, it's been a thing.
Or even better, you could have us vote on it.
That would be extremely dangerous.
Oh, no, I like this idea. Seconding this. So Purple goes on the baby name generator, and Purple picks all the names that she likes best, and then we have a whole stream about it.
We could have like one in the chat for this option, two in the chat, but yeah. That's how we'll decide it.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely get the live chat in on it. And
Yeah, well, the bot's broken and won't tabulate votes, so.
Well,
No,
you could-
as far as the idea of just making a name up, I actually have played with a couple that were, taking names from some of the alien languages I created for my novel. I didn't want to directly use any of the character names, but just kind of thinking of interesting things and translating them into alien languages.
well, you have to make sure you include a pronunciation guide if you go that route.
Well, and also remember, the weirder the name you select, the weirder people think you are going to be in real life.
Right, and that's part of why I wanted to stay away from anything that seemed too exotic. Like, I actually kind of like Zamia, but I was kind of wondering if that wouldn't, get a bad reaction for that.
I could give you some very interesting names. Most of them are really, really dumb because the ones I remember are the ones I used to point and laugh at when I ran background checks for the government, specifically for the state of New Jersey's rent assistance programs. I wasn't a cop or anything. I have no business being a cop. And I think we can all agree.
Sambuca Mermaid.
What is it with you and mermaids still?
Stool wants to be a mermaid because he's got a fish brain.
At this point, I'll just say random words so she'll shut up.
Okay, well, the first one that came up for a random name was Amia,
Ooh, that's a nice name.
which says it's an American origin meaning night rain.
Uh-huh.
That's not
Amia?
bad.
Did you say Amia? Spell it.
Yeah, Amya.
Amia. Amia.
Amaya.
I'm ya bitch. That's not going to work.
Oh, you know what, Stool? You finally admitted that you're somebody's bitch. I'm so proud of you. You grew as a person today. Not by much, but
I can speak English, so screw you.
okay, so can I. What's your point?
Okay, what other names?
Well, then it came up with Xena. But if I went by Xena and I scared someone, would that make them a xenophobe?
No, but it would make you a warrior princess.
Yeah, I don't think I would take that name.
If
That
you
just sounds like trouble.
Yeah,
if you do
again,
take,
anything that's got too much cultural baggage attached to it already, I would want to avoid.
Yeah, that's a good way to.
on the plus side though, if you do go by Xena, you do get to mercilessly troll the shit out of Kevin Sorbo on Twitter like Lucy Lawless does.
Mhm.
Honestly, Purple, I think you should just call yourself Violet.
Does she do that?
I
I
don't know.
suppose no reason really not to, but just that one just doesn't hit with me.
Irises are purple. Iris.
Ooh.
At the end of the day, Purple. I mean, whatever works for you, really.
Johnny, jump ups are purple.
Well, and online, I'm going to continue to go by purple because it was a consideration when I created this account that I did want to have something that was gender neutral so it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, purple is perfectly gender neutral.
Purple is the quintessential of gender neutrality.
But I will die on this hill that I think you should feminize purple rhymes with orange and it should become lavender rhymes with tangerine. So
No, I like it like it is because it's neutral.
Yeah, and honestly, that edges into the territory of Purple becoming another lavender lady, and there is only one true lavender lady. We can't be stealing Diana's thunder.
Yep. Yekaterina.
Okay, then she can be
That's a
Bergamot.
little too close to my government name, Purple. I vote no.
It means virginal. Yeah, like that fits me.
Oh my god! So I'm a few steps away from being virginal. I love it.
Well, that's from the Russian.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up, Stool. Before you say anything, just shut up. Just to you know.
I'm about as far away from virginal as you could get.
That's a very that's good preemptive strike there, Sidey.
Oh, of course. The preemptive shut up Stool is just it was totally warranted because I know the man's gonna find a way to I know the man's gonna find a way to sit there and be like, virginal.
You don't know that. I think we might be being a little bit uncharitable to Stool here, you know. It just
Jeff,
seemed worse to them all the time.
During my tenure as co-host of On the Sofa, did you ever tune in?
Once or twice.
Okay, so you don't have the you don't have the inside knowledge. There were a lot of roast fest between me and Stool on that show. Oh, we used to go at each other.
Yep, we lost X.
Damn.
I've always liked the name Sarah. With an H.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
yes,
Ceratops is one that is the most suggested.
No,
my main problem with that is that I have an attachment to that because it was one of my characters for my second novel. So Sarah seems like my niece now.
That's a nice name, and then you can. Well, you do what you want with the middle name. I picked my middle name to honor a particular person in my life.
Yeah, I haven't even gotten to the middle name part. Still working on the first and last.
But I wish I would have been smarter back then, so I would have taken a different last name. I would have liked to have taken my mom's maiden name. But
Well, I mean, you could still do that.
No, I'm not going to do that at 67 years old.
Never too late to make a change.
Okay. Getting your actual name changed, especially in Minnesota, is actually pretty easy.
Yeah, but it's just
then getting everything else changed to match that is where you have a huge hassle.
Well, that's in any state. Just the process of it. I went through it when I got married. Biggest mistake of my life. Fuck my ex-husband. There we go. I made the obligatory ex-husband bash.
What people don't realize is that there's common law about name change that if you call yourself a specific name for everything 24/7, it is your legal name.
That I did not know.
Okay, that you can just choose to be a different name, but you have to use it 24/7 for everything.
Okay, but how do you convince people like Social Security to, change your Social Security number to that name?
Well, I would imagine you explain to them the common law that you
they don't
under common law.
Jenny, that's very bold of you to assume that anybody in a Social Security office even knows how any of that works.
Well,
Let me tell
you, have to explain these sorts of things.
Federal employees tend to be kind of dumb.
Well, that's not true.
Well, not necessarily dumb, but yeah, they're used to their structured forms, and if you deviate from the forms, they don't know what to do about it.
Exactly.
Nobody operate outside the box. You have to operate outside the box.
Yeah.
This is
well,
very
like I say,
true.
getting it legally changed, I know is easy enough.
This is very true. You can legally change your surname, but there's no machinery to change your forename. What you have to do is to adopt a forename, and then for it to become common usage, there's no legality to change your forename whatsoever.
In Minnesota, it's basically, well, this is going by when I did 97, that you can change all or any part of your name for a $75 court filing fee, and you make an appointment in front of a judge to, like I say, make sure you have to bring a witness with you to make sure that you're not trying to get out of anything. And you have to publish the change in the newspaper for 2 weeks to see if anybody objects to it.
Well, that's silly.
It's
I'm
One
speak-
sounds too much
basically the whole
speaking-
idea of it is just to make sure that you're not trying to get away from bill collectors, or like you dropped out of military service and are trying to hide from them or something.
I am speaking as somebody who's legally changed their name twice after I'd had a little bit too much beer.
Stool is
So-
not your legal name?
No. One of my legal names is Jean-Luc Picard, and the other one is, I forget. I can't even remember. But
Stepladder.
yeah,
Oh, I forget. I can't even remember. That seems kind of wordy.
I know someone who won a competition on the radio to get like tickets to like the premiere of like one of the new Star Wars films, and so what they had to do is legally change their name to Chewbacca for like at least a month.
Oh my god!
I heard about that.
I'm kind of glad this is news to me because that's insane. But it takes some dedication, so I suppose I can respect it.
I wanted to pick my favorite name, but I couldn't because it also happened to have been my mom's first name, Marie. That's just I just always liked that name.
I'm considering Stephanie.
One of my favorite names is what I named my daughter.
Well, yeah, that would be a good reason for you to have chosen it for your daughter.
Well, if you pick Stephanie, you're going to be called Steph. You're going to be called Steve.
Well, yeah, I figured Steph is what most people would wind up using.
Yeah, a lot of people call you Steve.
That's kind of why I haven't rejected that one yet, because it's one of the few I came up with, and figuring out how people are going to shorten it or that, and haven't found anything objectionable to pretty much any way people are likely to use it.
You are okay with people calling you Steve?
I don't think people are really going to call me Steve, especially if I'm presenting female.
Well, I know lots of Stephanie that are called Steve.
Well, I mean, there's some people who are going to do that regardless, so that's more them than anything to do with the particular name. It's turned out to be more complicated than I originally thought it was.
Well, that's one of the reasons I suggested the random generator.
Yep, I'll play with that more. I can't do too much with it while we're on stream, and I have to be like watching the side chat and that, but I'll play with that when there's nobody else around. See what I come up with.
I also never asked my mom what she would have named me when I was born. Wish I would have done, because I really like the name she had picked.
Guys, I think I'm going to have to drop out, sir.
A little late for you, huh?
Yeah, well,
3 a.m. here. It's 3 a.m. and I'm still up.
8 a.m. and I'm probably going to have to go take a shower in a minute and get ready to go out for the day, sir.
Yeah, I'm actually going to drop out as well and go to bed. I think I've had enough of Stool to last me, even though he's barely spoken. Thank God.
Okay, well, we've been going 2 hours, and it doesn't seem we have any compelling topics right at the moment, so maybe we should just wind it up here.
Okay, doke. I'll see you guys later, all right?
bye-bye.
Yeah, Junie, I've had a couple that I've run by Sloth Girl, and yeah, when it came to questions about how other people would pronounce them, some of them become issues.
I just wouldn't want to pick one that's too cutesy, How
Right.
How a name sounds when you're 7, 8, 9 is a lot different than when you're 20 or when you're 50 or 60 or I don't know. That's one of my hangups.
Yeah, and this was another one that there were some I liked, but when I look up their meanings, they've got religious connotations I don't like.
Yeah, see, I don't care about meanings on names because I think they're all just fucking made up anyway.
Well, and that's why I was considering just, flat out going with something from a made up language, something that has meaning to me and doesn't have any meaning to anyone else unless I explain it.
Well, I think pronunciation matters. So
Yeah, pronunciation's important, but even in my novel, it's like, if it's an alien language and they're trying to, it's going to be humans pronouncing it anyway, so it's going to be humans figuring out how to pronounce the alien words even in the novel.
yeah, I would avoid anything that has hyphens or apostrophes.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah.
You've got to make strange guttural noises to pronounce.
Well, not just that, but just with computers, a lot of the computer applications that they won't take anything that's just not a letter. So you could get into a lot of problems with having some things where you can't actually type your name in if it calls it an invalid character.
Okay.
So yeah, I thought of that part too.
Yeah, it was a lot easier before the internet. You could just pick it, and I've mentioned this before. That I'm just glad that I did my transition before the internet because there's no record anywhere. I am who I am. Period.
Yeah, and it's a lot of hassle I don't look forward to though about getting all the records and just as far as all my personal things of all the utility bills and credit cards and everything all changed over.
I am not looking forward to my driver's license thing because I will have to hire an attorney back in Milwaukee who's going to have to do all the legwork because I'm too far away and can't do it. And it's going to cost me probably $1,000 or more.
Sorry. Yeah, it all depends on what state issued your birth certificate and how they handle it.
No, it's Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But
I checked into mine, and Illinois basically has a procedure for it that it's a shit ton of paperwork, but as long as I've got a therapist who's willing to sign off on it, they'll do it.
yeah, that's the easy part because that I can do here. Yeah, here, Doc. Here, I'll spread eagle for you. Tell them what you see.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, but I mean, as long as my psychologist is willing to help fill out the forms, which she said she is, then I don't have any issues with it. I'm sure there's going to be money involved. When I was looking at it on the web, it didn't tell me how much they charge for it.
If you have a therapist, I would expect them they would do it for free. That should not be an additional charge.
No, not the therapist. The state of Illinois, how much they'll charge to change the marker and issue a new birth certificate.
That's right. You're in Minnesota for that.
Yeah, I was born by Chicago.
Yeah, and I mentioned to you that there is an online group that does microfunding for folks like us to handle some of these legal costs. So do a Google and track that down. X is an old cowboy name.
Okay. Mary Tyler Moore was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm not sure where Bob Newhart was.
Bob Newhart's psych practice was in Chicago.
Okay. One thing I have learned over the years is that the original Bob Newhart show is actually a hell of a lot funnier if you've been in group therapy. There's especially a lot of the jokes he makes, like when he's sitting in bed with his wife, that you don't get if you haven't been to group therapy.
Hang on a minute. Is this still live?
Yep, we're still live.
I've forgotten to be sexy. I thought this was like not the live thing. No. Damn.
Oh, nope, it's been live the whole time you've been here.
Oh, I thought you stopped being live.
Well, I was about to stop being live.
Oh, Mary Tyler Moore. Woolworths. Rhoda.
That was
actually in Minneapolis. I know where the house that was used for the exterior of Mary Tyler Moore is.
Yeah.
It used to be in my delivery area when I worked there.
There's a statue of her downtown throwing her hat up in the air.
Yeah, on Nicollet Mall, they've got a statue of her now.
I can still remember the theme tune for Rhoda.
I don't.
I don't remember Rhoda that well. Another one a lot of people don't realize is that the show Lou Grant was actually a spin-off from Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah.
Mhm. She MTM. She had a production company, so
Yep.
the Lou thing and Rhoda.
Yeah, Rhoda and Lou Grant were both characters from the Mary Tyler Moore show.
Mm-hmm.
And what other show was Murray in? The writer, the head writer. He was one of McHale Navy's guys on his boat.
Oh,
And
but,
of course, he was also on Love Boat after MTM.
and there was another very short-lived spin-off from Mary Tyler Moore that was what was the character Betty White played in that show?
Oh fuck.
I forget the character's name, but they also did a spin-off featuring that character.
Sue Ann Nevins?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Like I said, it didn't last very long. I think it actually only aired like 6 episodes and got canned.
You know, I watched a Mary Tyler Moore a couple of weeks ago, and Betty White was on it as Sue Ann. And I thought back and I realized, geez, you know, I'm older than she was when she did that role. I guess that's why I found her to be hot.
I'm not going to do it. I know you want me to do it, but I'm not going to do it. Doorknob, you're a bad boy. Don't do it.
Oh God, she's such a funny woman, Betty White.
David Letterman on which show?
Love, exciting and new. Come aboard. That's as far as I go.
Okay.
Letterman wasn't on any shows until his own started in early.
Yeah,
morning.
I don't remember him being on anything else.
No, early mornings, weekdays on NBC. I used to be able to, and then all my teeth fell out.
Well, hey, gumdrops, you know that.
Now there's just a certain percentage of men who really get turned on by it. Oh, that was terrible.
Okay, and on that note, either of you have anything coming up you want to plug?
I have movie night on tomorrow at 10:30 Central. Yeah, that's it. 10:30 Central, 11:30 or East Coast. That fake time zone that nobody likes, anyways. And anything else I can find when I'm hanging out in the alley.
So you are planning to hang out in the park at midnight?
Well, yeah. That's where you get the tricks.
Stool, you doing anything?
No.
Okay. Oh. Okay, well then with that, everyone, we will see you next week, and we will bid you all good night.
Good night, chat. It's always a pleasure with you guys.
Set a course for adventure, your mind